As small business owners, so many of us have a lot of things that we feel like we need to be focused on at any given point in time. And one of those things, if we want to build our brands, needs to be sharing content online that's engaging to our audience. But what do we do when we've got something that's taking a lot of our focus, yet we still need to create that content? Well, there are some simple content ideas that you can create quickly and still engage your audience even when you're short on time. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 4 different content ideas that you can use to engage your audience effectively and quickly create the content you need to create even when you're short on time. So before we dive into the first idea, I just want to remind you that I am live every single Tuesday with tips and strategies, insights to help you build your brand and share your message effectively online to reach the people that you're meant to serve. So if you want more content like this, be sure to hit subscribe and like this video if you find it helpful. All right, so the first content idea, I'll get right into it, is a simple post about gratitude. Now, I'm going to share a couple different types of content, meaning content formats. So I've got a couple that I'm going to share that are more for stories or posts, just general social media posts, and then a couple that would make sense for longer form content like a blog, a podcast, video, whatever. The first one, though, would be a simple gratitude post. What is it that you're grateful for? This is a great type of thing to share on stories, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook. Generally, Instagram tends to get more engagement. Instagram or a simple social media post, whether that's over on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, wherever, just a general social media post or a story, or you could do both. What is it that you're grateful for? This is a great thing to share that just makes your brand more relatable, more human. You can share things that relate to the way that you get your work done, the way that you serve your clients, maybe even talking about specific clients that you're grateful for. This is just a really good way. People love to, respond back and share what they're grateful for. And for each particular content idea that I give you, I'm also going to give you a way to optimize engagement on this type of content. So for this particular type of content, which is just a simple gratitude post, something you could do your stories. Hey, today I just want to share what I'm grateful for with you. And that is you. I'm so grateful that you're engaged with the content that I'm sharing, that you're an engaged business owner, an engaged mom, whoever your audience is. That's an example of how you might share that. And, but my engagement tip for this in particular is to address your audience as you. Use the word you rather than you guys, you all, everybody, some of you. So if you're going to go on stories, imagine you're FaceTiming someone. What this does is build a deeper sense of intimacy and more intimate connection between you and your audience members, and then they feel more connected and therefore more engaged with your brand. Same thing if you are creating just a general Instagram post or Facebook post, using the word you instead of you guys, some of you, all of you, addressing it as if you're writing it as if you are addressing just one particular person. That's going to really help people to feel super connected with your brand. So that is content idea number 1, is a simple post or story about what it is that you're grateful for, and using the word you rather than other ways of addressing your audience, like as a whole, you guys, everybody, all of you, that kind of thing. Just using the word you to address your audience as a whole to make them feel more engaged and connected with your brand. Second idea, moving on, is, I got to look back at my notes here, a client win or testimonial. So this is pretty simple and straightforward. You could, if you've got a client who has shared something about a win that they've experienced that's related to the solution that you provide. So maybe this is a good example for this would be if you're a web designer and a client said that their new website's up. That's a perfect example here. If you saw an Instagram post and they said, oh, my new website's up, yay, maybe you could share that same post. Again, I want to make these easy for you to share. So I'm looking at how can we almost get you to just quickly repurpose content or share content in a way that's super simple to create. And another option here would be a client testimonial. You could turn it into a nice, pretty graphic that you could share as, say, an Instagram post, or even in a series of, you could find a nice story template on Canva or wherever and paste in the client testimonial. Now, the engagement tip here is to tag and mention your client, whoever it is that you are talking about, because this is going to then, obviously, this builds some sense of brand affinity, because if somebody has worked with your brand or purchased something from your brand before, and now you are sharing either a win they've experienced or highlighting them in a testimonial, they're going to feel like, wow, they really are, they're kind of celebrating me. And then, of course, they may feel compelled then to share whatever it is that you shared about them to their stories, to their feed, wherever it is, which then creates more exposure for your brand. All right, so those are a couple ideas to help you consistently create content for your social media feeds and stories, even when you're short on time. Now I want to move into a little bit what's generally, I guess, considered longer form content. So I tend to call this signature content, meaning content that you're creating on a somewhat regular basis that's really reflective of the value your brand offers. So whether it's you're creating podcast content, you're creating video content like you're on YouTube, or maybe you have a blog and you're regularly updating that, and people see you as a great resource for this, content on a particular topic. Okay. So these two content ideas are going to be more tailored towards those types of platforms. Like I said, your signature platform where you're creating signature content. That's what these ideas are going to be for. So the first one that would be a great idea for your signature platform, creating content for your signature platform, even when you're short on time, is an avoiding mistakes post or avoiding mistakes. The topic would be about avoiding mistakes. Now, I'm sure you've seen content like this, top 5 mistakes new podcasters need to avoid, top 5 mistakes or top 3 mistakes most new entrepreneurs make, or whatever, top 3 mistakes most I'm trying to think, most new moms make, or something like that. There's all sorts of different ways that you could go about framing this. But the key thing that the reason this is so easy for you to create, let me back up here. The reason this is so easy to create is because I'm sure you being the expert in whatever it is your brand does, you spot these mistakes all the time. You spot things that you think people could be doing, are either they're doing wrong, could be doing better. If this is what you help people do, it's very easy for you to identify what people are not doing, right. Or when people do come to work with you, the things that they've tried before that haven't worked well for them, whatever. It's probably easy for you to come up with a list of 3 mistakes people are making related to your subject matter, and keeping it focused on a particular, even a piece of your subject matter. So rather than an example of this would be, rather than me saying top 3 mistakes business owners make when they're building their brand online, I might say top 3 mistakes business owners make when creating Instagram stories content, or top 3 brand building mistakes you're probably making on Instagram stories, or something like that. So we're getting really narrow, and then it's easy for me to come up with content ideas. If you try to make it so broad about your entire subject matter or the entire point of whatever it is your business does, you may come up with way too many ideas, and then the content becomes harder to create. So what you want to do is create a really narrow down the subject matter. It obviously, you want it to fit with what it is that you do, but narrow it down and then come up with the mistake list. Now, the key with engagement here is to relate with people's mistakes. So rather than saying, most business owners aren't doing this effectively, or most business owners don't add a call to action in their stories when they really should be, you could instead relate with their struggle and put yourself in their shoes. I know when I was first learning about using Instagram stories, I never even had a Snapchat. So when Instagram stories first came out, I had zero experience creating story style content. So it took me a while to get used to creating content for that particular piece of the Instagram platform. See how instead of saying you're making this mistake, audience, and get it together, instead I'm putting myself in their shoes and relating with the struggle they're experiencing. That's going to build that and everyone says know, like, trust factor. It's building that piece of the know, like, and trust factor that we all know is essential if we want to build a super engaged audience that wants to do business with us. So that's a good way to do it, is relate with their struggle, relate with the reason why they're probably making those mistakes, but still articulating the mistakes, and then giving them an alternative. Obviously, you don't want to just say, you're making these mistakes. The end. Give them something to do that would be helping them to overcome making that mistake, or the alternative, the solution, whatever it is. All right, and then our very last quick content idea that you can create, and it's generally going to be better for a signature platform, meaning like blog, podcast, video, something like that, would be a top resource list. And again, with this one, you want to narrow down that subject matter in most instances. An example of this would be, I know a while back I did top podcasts for creative entrepreneurs, I think it was. I can't quite remember how I titled it, but it was a video and you can check it out. I'll put a link to it. But top podcasts for, I think it was like online creative entrepreneurs or something along those lines. And I actually narrowed it down even to particular episode. I love this episode if you're looking to accomplish XYZ. That's kind of how I framed the list of resource podcast episodes I was sharing. But you could even do top tools related to whatever it is you do. Again, like I said, it's better. It's generally going to be better if you narrow down the thing people are trying to accomplish. If they're watching this video, you can assume they're trying to accomplish XYZ. So for me, let's just say it's sharing your brand message on social media. Top books to help you share your brand message more effectively on social media. Let's just say I was going to create that type of a resource list. That's instead of top resources to help you build your brand, like I could come up with a list of like 1,000 versus top books to help you share your message more effectively on social media, or top podcasts to help you share your message more effectively on social media. That's a much more narrow, gives me a more narrow frame. So then I can quickly come up with that resource list instead of having like an explosion of resources coming up in my mind and then having to figure out how to communicate that in a way that's efficient. So that's another great way. And the best way to engage people here, or one really effective way, is actually to start a conversation. So I've been sharing a lot of examples that relate to my own business at the moment. And, I serve primarily purpose-driven creative entrepreneurs and experts, so business owners. And I know that a lot of my clients love listening to podcasts. So if I were to create that type of content again and do top podcasts for, if you're looking to build your brand in less time on social media or something, then I might say, what are your favorite? I might end the piece of content by saying, what are some of your favorite content or your favorite podcasts for building your brand? Or what podcasts have been super helpful for you as you've been building your business? Just getting them to share some of their favorites. It's a great way to start that conversation, get people engaged. And not only that, but it's also great market research for you to see what else your audience finds valuable, what other platforms and resources your audience is finding valuable. So I hope that was helpful. There you have it. 4 quick and easy content ideas to help you build your brand in less time when you don't have a lot of time, and keep your audience engaged in the process. So let me know in the comments below which of these content ideas you plan to try out first. And of course, be sure to hit like on this video if you want me to share more quick and easy content ideas, and subscribe for more insights, strategies, all sorts of stuff to help you build your brand online your way. I'm back here every single Tuesday. I'll see you soon.